Hello, my dear students. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Prachi Sharma, and this channel is about learning chemistry for 10th grade ICSE. I help you out with learning the topics, revising, finding out shortcuts to remember anything that's difficult in the chapter. So, in today's session, let's see what we are covering up. We are covering some important questions of chemical bonding. So, without wasting any time, let's get started. All right, students, let's quickly get started with the important questions of chemical bonding. Now, you in this video, I'm not writing any of the answers on the screen. I'm trying to save time. So this is more like a discussion of important questions, and I tell you the correct answers. If you have doubts and queries, you can reach out to me in the comment box below, or the Telegram channel, or you can write up an email to me on psclassesicsc@gmail.com. So let's get started with today's session. So let's read the first one. See the table and answer the questions given below. So you have the elements A, B, C, D. Electronic configuration is given below that. Now what type of bond is formed between A and B? So if you see A has a tendency to donate electron and B has a tendency to accept electron because it has 7 in the valence shell. So what kind of bond will that form? That form an ionic bond because A will give an electron, B will accept it, and that's it. So ionic bond. Now the second one, C and D. So C and D both are over, you can say C and D. So D just has one electron in entirely. So instead of donating it, it will try to share it and create a bond where like not lose the only electron it has. So what kind of bond will be formed between C and D? They will end up sharing electrons. That means you'll have one C atom and you'll have 3 D atoms around it, and each one of them will share and all of the octets will be satisfied. So you'll have covalent bond here. So let me write covalent bond. The next is B and D. So B is 287 and D is 1. So if you look closely, your B is an electronegative one because it is 287 and your D is just 1. So what kind of bond will be formed here? You will have a polar covalent bond. So polar covalent bond. Now the next is molecule of D. So when we talk about, so this is molecule of D. So what kind of bond will that form? So D and a D will share one more electron, and when it will have one single covalent bond. So single covalent bond. Then molecule of C. So if we say C, so 2 and a 5, so at least 3 of the C's will be sharing. So that means triple covalent bond. Triple covalent bond. Molecule of B. So you have two molecule of B. So 2, 8 and a 7. So that should be a single covalent bond because 2, 8 and 7 and B gets connected and one of them will get shared. So you'll have a single covalent bond. Single covalent bond. Now let's move to the next one. They are asking what is the formula of the compound formed between A and B. So A and B will be nothing but just AB. So A and B will be AB. Then we have C and D. So C and D. So C will be 1 and D you will be using 3. So CD3. Then the third one is B and D. So B and D that will be just DB. That's it. So DB. Now let's move to the next question. Elements are given, protons are given, an electron present in ion formed from electron is given, for element is given. So let's get started with this. Using the above table, answer the following. Identify the element which forms cation and which forms anion. So if you take a closer look at this, your Q will form a cation and your R will form a cation. So these will be two answers. So Q and R will form cations. Then which one of them will form anion? If we take a closer look, the P1 should be giving you a anion. Then the next question is identify the element with complete octet. So which one of them will have a complete octet? You will have S having a complete octet. So S will have a complete octet. What type of bond is formed between Q and P? So let's take a look at that. You have Q and P. So you have 20 and 9. So number of protons is also equal to number of electrons. Electron present in ion formed from element. Okay. So now if you look at this, so this will be 2, 8, 8, 1. This will be 2, 8, 8, 2. 2, 8, then you'll have 1. Sorry, this will be 2, 8, or not even 2, 8. This will be 2, 7. I'm sorry about that. So this will be 2, 7. This is 2, 8, 8, 2. This is 2, 8, 1. And this is 2, 8, 8. Now let's take a look at this. Now we are talking about what kind of bond is formed. What type of bond is formed between Q and P? So we are looking at Q and P. So you'll have okay. So they are asking what kind of bond. So ionic bond will be formed because P can easily accept one electron donated from Q. So you have a covalent. Sorry, you have an ionic bond coming out here. So ionic bond. Then the next one is give the formula of the compound formed between Q and P. So what kind of formula will that be? So you'll be using two P's because your Q has two valence electrons. So it will give one electron to one of the P's and another electron to the second P electron, P atom. So you'll have QP2. You're using two P electrons, two P atoms. So QP2, not 3, QP2. Now let's move to the next one. Give reasons for the following. So the first is solid sodium chloride does not conduct electricity. The basic reason is that solid sodium chloride will not have any free electrons, free ions, and absence of free ions will not help in conduction of electricity. So that's the reason for it. Then the next is molten sodium chloride conducts electricity because when you have molten one, it has the presence of free ions and they can easily help in the conduction of electricity. Then for the reasoning questions, I'll write proper answers at the end of this sheet. So when you're downloading this from the description box, you'll be easily able to see how much you're supposed to write and what will be the correct reasoning answer. Because right now I'm just discussing what your answer should be. So let's move to the next one. So sugar solution does not conduct electricity. That is because you have covalent compound. It's a covalent compound, and when it gets dissolved, it does not break down into ions, and the solution contains sugar molecules dissolved in it. So the entire solution will have molecules of sugar dissolved, but no presence of ions. Therefore, no conduction of electricity. Then the next is ionic compounds have high melting and boiling points because when you have oppositely charged ions, they are held together by strong electrostatic forces of attraction. So when you have strong electrostatic force of attraction, you need to give in more energy to break them, whether it's melting point or boiling point. Now let's move to the next one. Bond formed in hydrogen molecule is non-polar covalent compound because hydrogen, when you're using hydrogen, both of them are identical. So when do we get polar covalent compound? When one of them is highly electronegative and has a tendency to pull the shared pair. But when we talk about hydrogen molecule, they both are identical in nature. So none of them will have a stronger tendency to pull it. Both of them will have equal tendency to do whatever they are doing. So if they are sharing and the pair is in between them, it will stay there. Because both of them, either they will share with the same pull and they will try to keep the electron pair in the center because none of them is extra powerful or weaker in them. Let's move to the next question. State which of the following are oxidized or reduced. So let's quickly go through these, okay? So oxygen ion is being converted to oxygen O. So that means it is being oxidized. Then you have Zn and then it is moving. So you are getting an ion. So that will be oxidized as well. Then the third one is iron giving you Fe3+. So that is also oxidized. Then you have an ion. So you have Fe3+. And that is giving you Fe2+. So one of the electron is going away. So that means it is being reduced. Then the next one is Fe2+ giving you Fe. So that is also reduced. Then you have S giving you S2-. So that is also being reduced. Then you have N giving you N3-. That is also being reduced. Then you have chlorine Cl minus giving you a chlorine molecule. That means it is being oxidized. Then the next is copper giving you Cu2 plus. So that is being oxidized. And then the last one is chromium. So this is also, yeah. So this is chromium giving you a chromium ion, that is 3 plus. That is also being oxidized. Let's move to the next one. Identify the type of bond expected to be formed between the pair of elements with the following atomic numbers. Identify the elements and predict their formula also. Alright. So in this case, you'll have to make a whole chart. So we'll come back on this question at the end because I'll have to make the chart at the end. Or I'll just tell you the first couple of ones, and the others two you can try on your own and let me know the answer in the comment box. So I'll help you with the first two. So let's see how you're supposed to do this question. So the first thing is you have to mention the atomic number here. Then you have to give the name of element. Then you have to give in the type of bond and then the formula. So let's see. So the first one is 117. So 1 and 17. So what is 1? 1 is hydrogen. An electronic number of 17 means we are talking about chlorine. And what kind of bond will these form? These will form polar covalent compound. So polar covalent compound. What will be the formula? HCl. Let's move to the next one. 11 and 9. So 11 and 9. So 11 is sodium and 9 is fluorine. What kind of bond will they form? They will form ionic bond. And what will be the formula for that? So that will be NaF. Okay. Now the next two, try on your own and let me know the answers in the comment box. And whichever answer is correct, I will pin that on the top for other students to know. Now let's move to the next question. Question number 6. How many covalent and coordinate bonds are present in? The first is hydronium ion and the second is ammonium ion. So if we talk about hydronium ion, covalent bonds present are 2 and ammonium ion has 3, and your coordinate bonds, this has 1 and both of them has 1 each. Let's move to the next question. State the type of bond present in non-metallic fluoride, metallic chloride, chlorine molecule and nitrogen molecule. So nitrogen molecule and chlorine molecule, both of them will have covalent compounds, but we'll have to write the entire thing. So let's start with non-metallic chloride. So non-metallic chloride will have a covalent bond. Metallic chloride will have an ionic bond. Chlorine molecule will have a non-polar covalent bond, and nitrogen will also have a non-polar covalent bond. Alright students, let's move to question number 8. So the question says the atomic numbers of the elements A, B, C, D, E are given, and then with reference to the above mentioned elements, answer the following questions. And the note specifically says do not identify the elements. And then okay, so first one is give the electronic configuration. That's exactly what you're supposed to do in the first step, whether they are asking it or not. So it's good that since you are anyways doing the electronic configuration, you anyways get marks for it. So let's get started with the first one. So when you have 11, so that will be where should I write it? So A, I'll just write like this. So 2, 8, 1. B is how much? 17. So 2, 8, 7. Then you have C, that is 16. So 2, 8, 6. Then D is 12. So 2, 8, 2. And then E is 18. So 2, 8, 8. So this is it. This is the first part of it, that is writing the electronic configuration of A, B, C, D and E. Let's move to the second part. How many valence electrons are present in all of them? So make sure that you understand. Sometimes they can ask what is the valency. So you have to be careful about valency, and when they ask about valence electron, you have to be careful about what the question is asking. So number of valence electrons, you can simply write that. So that would be 1, then 7 for B, then 6 for C, then D has 2 and then E has 8. So that's it. Then they are saying name the type of ion if formed in A, B, C, D and E. So name the type of ion formed. So A will form a cation, B will form an anion, C will form an anion, D will form a cation again, and E will no ion formed. It will not form any ion because the octet is complete. Now identify the type of element. So the type of element, they're not asking what the element is, they're asking what is the type. What is the type? You mean the type could be metals, non-metals, so that's the type. So if we start with A, so A is a metal because it has a tendency to donate electron. B is a non-metal because it has a tendency to accept an electron. C is a non-metal for the same reason, and D is a metal for the same reason, and E is an inert gas. So that's it. Then let's move to question number 9. Element M forms a chloride with formula MCl, which is a solid at room temperature and has high melting and boiling point. M would most likely be in the same group. Now same group as, and then the options are given. The first thing you have to understand here is that it's element M forming a chloride. Now chloride, if it is a metallic chloride, it's an ionic compound. If it's a non-metallic chloride, it would be a covalent bond. Now they're specifically mentioning it has high melting and boiling point. So ionic compounds have high melting and boiling point. Another thing is that MCl, the formula that they have given, that means you're using one atom of M, correct? So this means that it is a metal and you're using a single atom of M. That means M valence electron is 1. Okay, so that means we have a lot of information about M. M is forming an ionic bond. So M is a metal with 1 valence electron. So M will be in the same group as potassium. Okay, students, as potassium. Now that's the answer, the first, potassium. Now let's move to the question 10. An element X is a metal with valency 3. Element Y is a non-metal with valency 3. So when we're talking about non-metal having valency 3, that means it can accept 3 electrons. That means the valence electrons would be 5. An element X is a metal with valency 3. That means it can donate 3 electrons. So that means the valence electrons would be 3. So if we talk about valence electrons, you have 3 here and you have 5 here. Write equations to show how X and Y form ions. So how that will form ions? So X will lose electrons. So X minus 3 electrons will give you X3 plus, and Y will accept 3 electrons. So Y plus 3 electrons will give you Y minus 3. Now next is, if Y is a diatomic gas, write the equation for the direct combination of X and Y to form a compound. So if that happens, you'll have X and Y giving you 2XY. So you'll have two atoms of X combining with a single atom of Y, giving you, sorry, this would be Y2 because you'll have a diatomic gas. So Y is a diatomic gas, so you'll have Y2 and then you'll have this equation. Okay, let's move to the next one. An element X is a metal with valency 1 and element Y is a non-metal with valency 1. So again, focus on things, students. Focus. So when I say focus, that means you have to understand when element X has a valency of 1, that means number of valence electrons is 1. When element Y, a non-metal, has valency 1, that means the number of valence electrons is 7. Now they are asking, write the equations to show how the ions are formed. So it is simple. X will lose 1 electron and give you X plus. Y will gain 1 electron and give Y minus. Now again, it's a similar question. If Y is a diatomic gas, write the equation of direct combination between X and Y. So if it is a direct combination and you have a diatomic gas, so you have Y2 that is combining with X, and the direct combination will give you XY. So you'll have 2 of this and then 2XY. Same equation. Now let's move to the next one. Predict the type of bonding in the following. So ammonia forms a polar covalent compound. Then you have calcium oxide, so that would be ionic compound. Then you have oxygen, that is a double covalent compound. Then you have chlorine, that is a single covalent compound. Then methane is a non-polar covalent compound. Now, next question is give reasons for the following. Ionic compounds have high melting point. So, as we have discussed, ionic compounds have strong electrostatic force of attraction between oppositely charged particles. Therefore, you need a high amount of energy to break that force. That is the reason ionic compounds have high melting and high boiling points. The second question, ionic compounds easily dissolve in water. So as soon as you dissolve it in water, they have a tendency to break down, because when we combine water, it has the ability to reduce the force of attraction and hence dissociate into respective ions, and therefore it is soluble. Then next is inert gases do not form ions. The reason is that the inert gases have a complete octet. They do not have any extra electrons. They are very stable. They are not accepting or donating any electrons. Therefore, they do not change into any ions. All right. Now, as I've mentioned, all the reasoning answers I will still write towards the end of this sheet. So it would be easier for you to learn them and understand how much information is to be given for a reasoning question. Let's move to the next one. Copy and complete the table given below and answer the following questions. Do not identify the elements. So you have elements A, B, C, D, E given. Mass number is given. Atomic number is given. Protons and electronic configuration is not given. So we have to complete that. So let's start working on it. So let me read the questions once. How many valence electrons are present in A, B, C, D, E? Then choose metals, non-metals and inert gases from the above elements. Then what type of bond is being formed, and that's it. So let's get started. So first thing I'll do is I'll just delete and make some space here, and let's start writing. So when we talk about A, mass number is 14, atomic number is 7. So if I subtract that, my protons are 7. Electronic configuration would be 2, 5. Then I have B as 35 and 17. Subtract that, you get proton as 17 and the configuration becomes 287. Then I have C as 1, 1, 1, 1. So 1, 1. Then 12 and 6. So 12 and 6 will give me 6 atoms, 6 protons, and the configuration becomes 2, 4. Then E is 16 and 8. So subtract that, you end up with 8, which gives you a 2 and a 6. Now let's answer the questions. So the first question was copy and complete the table. So that's done. Then how many valence electrons are present in A, B, C, D, E? Valence electrons. So that would be 5, 7, 1, 4 and 6. Correct? Then choose metals, non-metals or inert gases. So which one would be metals here? So I'll just mark the metals. So metals will be, let's see, you don't have any metals. Yeah, you do not have any metals. So none. Non-metals will be 2, 7, 2, 5. So I'll just write the alphabet. So I'll have A, B, then C, then 2 and a 4, D, and then E. So all of them are non-metals. Do I have any inert gases? No, none. So inert gases would be none. Then next is what type of bond formation takes place between B and C. So one thing that you need to understand is, since all of them are non-metals, you won't have any ionic compounds being formed. So whatever formation you'll have of bond will be covalent, whether it be polar covalent, non-polar, or just covalent compounds. So you'll have to understand that by looking at the chart that you don't have any ionic compounds. So you have very low chances of getting it wrong. So let's start with B and C. So B and C. So if you think about B and C, so B electronic configuration is 2, 7. C is 1. So what kind of bond will it form? It will form a covalent bond. And since 2, 8, 7, that means B is highly electronegative. It will pull the shared pair towards itself. Therefore, polar covalent compound. So polar covalent compound. Now the next is molecule of A. So let's come down and look at A. So A is 2, 5. So when you have a molecule being formed and it is sharing, so 5, 6, 7, 8 needs 3 electrons. For 3 electrons, 3 different atoms will combine and share 1 electron each. or actually you don't even need three, you just need one more. So you'll have 3 and 3 sharing from both of them because it's a molecule. So your answer would be just covalent bond. So let's just write that covalent bond. And this one we identified as polar covalent bond. So I think A was clear for you. Now if we talk about molecule of A, so A has 5, so 1 2 3 4 5. A has 5, 1 2 3 4 5. So they will end up sharing 3. So covalent compound. Now D and C, so let's look at D and C. So D has 2 4, and then D and C has 1. So what kind of bond that will be? That will be a regular covalent bond. Then I have A and C. So A and C. So A has 2 5 and C has 1. So if you think about it, your A will be slightly more electronegative, not compared to B, but in general, if you compare it with C, your A will be more electronegative. Therefore, you'll end up having a polar covalent compound because it will end up attracting the shared pair towards itself. So, polar covalent compound. So, my dear students, this is it for today's session. We have successfully covered all the important questions for covalent bonding. So, if you want to check out the important questions, you have 3 different videos on the channel. The first is the first part of this of important questions. This is the second part. In the first part, we covered about 23 questions. In this part, also, I think we have got 15 to 16 questions. And then there is a separate test paper of covalent bonding, so that's a practice test paper. If you combine these 3 videos and check out all these 3 videos, you are good to go with all the important questions of chemical bonding. But other than this, I also suggest taking a look at your back exercise questions of this chapter, and then you are all set. So then you can focus on other chapters also. So that was it for today. I hope this video was helpful. There was one question in which you're supposed to answer me a couple of questions. You can mention the answer in the comment section and I will let you know if that is correct. So that's it for today. Thank you so much. We'll catch up in the next session. That would be mind mapping of chemical bonding. Thank you. I hope you have a beautiful